Hello and welcome back to our channel. This one we're going to talk about the importance of zooming out when looking at different stocks and having that kind of perspective in terms of when to buy, especially on those long-term positions and obviously longer-term swing trades. So let's jump into it. So obviously when you're looking at the hourly chart or the daily chart, it can easily be overlooked as to actually what's kind of happening. And if you're holding a swing trade and you think, oh, actually maybe I might scale out or maybe I might sell the whole position, just take a minute and wait and kind of look at the bigger time frames, the weekly, the monthly, etc. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to look at 3 different examples and don't know what that was. I'm going to look at 3 different examples for you to have a look at so you can kind of get a good idea of what I'm thinking of when I'm adding to my swing trades or obviously long-term positions as well. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. So looking at number 1 here, we've got DraftKings. Now you can see obviously on the chart we have a little bit of negative momentum and you would obviously think that these moving averages are not looking so good. So this is the daily chart. We can see that the 50 moving average, which is the kind of middle blue line, and the 20 moving average, which is the lighter blue line, we're kind of rejecting off of that recently and moving down possibly towards the 200 moving average. Now this is obviously a stock that's done very well recently in earnings reports. You can see that on the screen with the green shield, green shield and green shield. Stock is performing very well, company is performing very well. So you would expect that the trend would continue, especially moving into the next earnings report, which is just around the corner. So what we're looking for here is a little bit of stability. So basically from this point you might think, oh, I need to sell this because it's going down to $28 thereabouts. But really what you should be doing is zooming out. So what we're going to do is look at the weekly chart. And you can see here lots of nice support, especially from a long-term outlook. So what we can immediately see is obviously the 20 moving average and the 200 moving average for the weekly chart coming in nicely underneath there, which for me is a great buying zone for a stock for the longer term at least. So we're probably looking at hypothetically adding to the stock and obviously making a move towards the kind of $40 level towards the end of the year. Now obviously I'm filming this just in the break of 2024. But generally this is kind of like a procedure video. It's an evergreen video. This is kind of where I would look to add, just looking at different time frames for as an example. So that's kind of all you really need to see. You want to keep it simple. You just want to see that, oh, there's 2 really good moving averages here. You can see how it's played off of the moving averages in the past, especially the 20 moving average. Obviously the 200 has only been in inception for a little while, but the 20 moving average, it does like it throughout the touching periods here. So you'd expect it to kind of act as a little bit of support and perhaps move on upwards back towards that kind of 38 to 40 level. So it's something to bear in mind, and I'm not going to go on too much with each of these charts, but basically you should understand what I'm looking at, and that's this area of support. Well, compared to the daily chart, which of course there is 0 support. And this is just how stocks move sometimes. You just got to look around a little bit more, do a bit more digging, a bit more research. The next one I have for us is Enphase. Now you might think, oh, actually there's a little bit of support coming up here for the daily, and there is. You can see that there's a 50-day moving average, which is coming through nicely, and you can see that has acted as a nice bit of resistance / support over the last kind of couple of years, really, or a year or so on this chart. But if we dive into the 1 hour chart, you can see here lots of negative momentum for Enphase, and you might think, oh, actually this is going a lot more south. A lot of people do look at the hourly chart, and of course there's every reason to do so. So again, we can draw a little bit of a trend line here from here to here, and you can quite clearly see it's a trend line break, and we're going to look to go a little bit lower. But however, if you're bullish on this stock in the long term and you want to keep adding, which fair enough, it's a solar stock, it is our future. You can zoom out onto the weekly again, and you can see here the 20 moving average is acting as a nice support there. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. We have had a rough couple of weeks, as you can see on the chart, but this could be a point obviously where you might want to add. Now this is obviously not financial advice, it's just kind of how I perceive the charts. This is a little bit more risky, of course, because it is an overall downtrend. You can see that. But you can see that it's obviously moved quite nicely since the kind of beginning parts of November, and it's just pulling back. Now you just want to kind of find out where that support might be. Obviously you're not going to find that on the hourly because the hourly looks really, really bad. And the daily, again, we saw the 50 moving average was there. It's not too bad either. So this could be, again, a nice place to add, and you can kind of hopefully see my thesis. If you are a little bit confused, just leave a comment down below. I'm happy to answer any queries you might have, or obviously go over to my X channel there as well. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And the next one here you can see here is Etsy. This is the roughest of them all. You can see the daily chart has been not so kind basically since the middle of December. Had a nice run up obviously since the beginning of November, like lots of stocks did, all the way up to the top here, and now it's just really pulled back really aggressively. and you can see that really negative kind of trend here. But what I can see is a little bit of support resistance here. Let's go ahead and stick that in there. So you can see a nice bit of point of resistance and now acting as possibly a little bit of support. Obviously we can't tell that because it's the first impact and it would be quite a high risk entry. But that coupled with the low RSI could be a good entry point. Now let's have a little zoom out and see what we can find. So on the weekly chart, you can see here, again, it's similar to kind of end phase really. We've got the 20 moving average kind of coming in down below, coupled with that kind of support line. And if you look back, the support line is quite evident around here in the kind of middle of parts of 2022. So you can see that this could be a place that you might want to add to, or if you want to start a position even, as long as you keep a fairly tight stop loss, maybe around about 65, 66. But yeah, this is kind of the thesis I want to add to. Just zoom out and maybe have a look at kind of what you're adding to and where you could possibly add to your winners, or just making new long-term trades. It's the aim of the game at the end of the day, isn't it? Is to make money. So I hope in this video you've got a clearer understanding of where to add, perhaps on your longer-term positions or longer-term swing trades. Just zooming out, the importance of zooming out on different time frames. Very easy to get lost in the 1 hour and the daily charts these days. I do it quite a lot myself, but I do have to force myself to come back on the weeklies and the monthlies just to kind of really get my bearings as to where that stock possibly is. Now obviously thank you very much for watching this, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say, so obviously subscribe and all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.